Okay, so there's several things that we contend with. Today, right now, there's a lot of uncertainty around what's going on with tariffs and such like that. As well, there's a lot of uncertainty around the business climate itself. But one of the universal things that we tend to see at VCFO when we come on to a new assignment is the client, the company, has focused on building a sales organization and probably an operations organization, but they haven't spent a lot of time or brain power developing the back office. You know, the controllership, the accounting standards, things like that. So usually we're contending with a back office deficit, or as some of our leadership calls it, a debt to the back office that needs to be paid when we first come on. So that's usually the first area of triage that we come on. But the other pieces of it is, if we've got a growing business, they're going to need capital. So we do a lot of money raising, whether it's bank debt or helping the business owner or the CEO optimize their capital structure in some way through either new bank debt or refinancing a portfolio of equipment loans, things like that.
The macros that we have going on right now with inflation, interest rates, trade policy, labor shifts, all of those have a tendency to cut into your profits and, more importantly, your business cash. So as business leaders and as sitting as a CFO, our job is to make the recommendations to, there are things that you can change and there are things that you can't. So take a look and reevaluate your expenses that you have planned and forecasted for the year and start making those changes now. Don't wait. My biggest advice is make those changes immediately when you start to see things shifting, so you have that ability to still meet the needs that are set before you. You cannot fight inflation. It's just going to happen. When your note goes up a few points, you can't do anything about that either. But what you can control, and those expenses that are within your power to control, make sure that you're being and operating as lean as possible. Be creative about your travel. Can you have instead of in-face meetings, could you host that meeting via Zoom? Could you have that meeting via Teams? Are there marketing and trade show events that maybe don't produce as many leads? Maybe ought to go in as a sponsor instead of the full sending a body there, which costs more money. Just be creative in your thought process.
Yeah, actually, there's a client that I work with that is primarily a distributor, but they're a manufacturer in the sort of the Apple sense of the word. They've got a contract manufacturer offshore that makes their branded product for them, and they've developed a new product line with this offshore contract manufacturing partner that has enhanced the new product is more feature rich and at a lower cost than the traditional product line. The challenge is that being offshore and branded directly for them, they've got to prepay for a lot of it. So we're particularly in the early stages of the product development, when instead of getting net 45 to net 60 terms with existing vendors, they're at about prepay 60 days. And for them, that's a 120-day swing in their cash conversion cycle. So that's a gigantic swing from a cash flow perspective for a small-ish business. And so we had to come up with creative ways to finance that. In addition to this, their products were subject to tariffs. So taking from the learnings from Trump 1.0, where if you're bringing in pre-tariff product, you can carry a little bit more inventory and make outsized profits on that inventory once tariff takes effect, and all your competitors raise price. Then you raise price, but you're selling lower cost of goods materials. So we implemented that so that now they've got extra inventory and a 120-day shorter cash conversion cycle. We had to get a little bit creative with their bank, and we're able to take a 15-year amortization term loan to support this new capital structure, and successfully, they're properly capitalized now for the level of inventory that they have that is going to get worked down over the back half of the year, which happily is their busy cycle.
one of the biggest advantages that you'll have being a small to mid-sized business is your ability to be nimble and change direction quickly as the market requires. Go back to those initial entrepreneurial ideas and just get creative about how you operate and do your business, conduct things differently, be scrappy, don't get complacent. Too many layers of approval and bureaucracy, whereas you have the small to mid-sized business with your leadership team, you really have the ability to, if you see something that needs to be addressed, fix it and fix it quickly.
Universally, you can usually make pretty good progress if there's deficiencies in the business, and no business is perfect. Even big business is not perfect. So there's tons of opportunities for turnaround. But for me, being able to identify and pull the lever for the small business operator can make a huge difference, and that's very satisfying. For example, some of the things that we do are process management. So if you see, the order to cash process or the procure to pay process, and you step through with the team, if you see gaps or opportunities to tighten things up, both operationally from an efficiency standpoint, and to Taunya's point, to stay nimble, but also from a controls perspective. You never want to, even especially in a small business, you really don't want to have people in the business that are in a position where they can do something untoward. You kind of want to prevent that. So you want to make sure that you're giving the entrepreneur, the leadership team, the right counsel to put the processes in place so that nobody's in a position where they can, even by accident, do something like that.
Going back to the notion of when you started the business, you had an idea, but you started to come up with a plan. And I think that leading through these times of uncertainty requires CEOs and business owners to lean on their leadership team, because no one has the right answer. And to be honest, it's going to take the entire team to find a creative solution, but start work on finding a plan and having that courage to say, I don't know the answers. Let me rely on my team to help us contingency plan and build the best answers. And then I'd say on top of that, it's communicating. It's communicating with not only your leadership team, but the greater organization as a whole. Reassure your team, reassure your staff that despite these changes or trying times that you're going through, that we do have a plan and we're working through it, and you'll keep everyone up to date as needed. And I think that the more communication that you can offer to your team, the better, because it shows that you are thinking about the future and you're preventing people from unnecessary worry or rumor mills, things that could be destructive to the culture of the company when you're trying to fight other external factors. You don't need to implode internally as well.